Okay. Good afternoon, and welcome to our first webinar of the new year, webinar about modernizing Treasury management using NextGen Receivables. And I'll be your host today. I'm Leilani Doyle with US Dataworks. And joining me on the line is Donna Webb from Pinnacle Bank. Donna, would you like to say hello?
Hi.
Hi, Donna, and thanks for participating with us. I know Donna's suffering from a bit of a cold. I think that the Arctic vortex has gotten to all of us, and we're here in Houston. I think we're preparing for more snow and ice tomorrow. It's just been crazy there.
Yeah, it's nice and sunny here in the state of Georgia with 55 degrees, and we're expecting single digits in the next day or so. So welcome to the South.
That's right. Well, great. Thank everyone for participating in the poll. We had a pretty good response at the end of the webinar. I'll go ahead and share results. I want to make sure that everyone's able to see my screen. So if somebody out there can raise their hand, just giving me an indication that you're now seeing my screen, that would just make me feel perfect. Thank you for that response. I've got a good crowd here this afternoon. I hope that you come away with some interesting information here. It's certainly a topic that we find interesting here at US Dataworks. So let me see if I can't switch to full screen mode. Great. So we're really talking about modernizing treasury management, and some of my background is I've been in banking and treasury management services since I think they invented it practically. I did take the first CCM exam way back when it was the Certified Cash Manager exam, and have stayed current there, and love to see how treasury solutions continue to evolve there. And here's my great selfie picture along with Donna. She's got a much more polished picture there. I'm so glad Donna is joining us to talk a little bit about her implementation of the next generation solution there. So one of the areas of focus as we look at modernizing treasury solutions is all about innovation. And here as a software and a technology provider, we're always looking at ways that we can innovate, small innovations, more substantial innovations, but anything that gives our customers and their clients a leg up is certainly top on our priority. So I thought I'd start our webinar by sharing one of my favorite videos on innovation. I think it's a great way to kind of think about things a little bit differently. So there we go.
For the past 5 years, I've been investigating this question of where good ideas come from. It's a kind of problem I think all of us are intrinsically interested in. We want to be more creative. We want to come up with better ideas. We want our organizations to be more innovative. I've looked at this problem from an environmental perspective. What are the spaces that have historically led to unusual rates of creativity and innovation? And what I've found in all these systems, there are these recurring patterns that you see again and again that are crucial to creating environments that are unusually innovative. One pattern I call the slow hunch, that breakthrough ideas almost never come in a moment of great insight, in a sudden stroke of inspiration. Most important ideas take a long time to evolve, and they spend a long time dormant in the background. It isn't until the idea has had 2 or 3 years, sometimes 10 or 20 years to mature, that it suddenly becomes accessible to you and useful to you in a certain way. And this is partially because good ideas normally come from the collision between smaller hunches so that they form something bigger than themselves. So you see a lot in the history of innovation, cases of someone who has half of an idea. There's a great story about the invention of the World Wide Web and Tim Berners-Lee. This is a project that Berners-Lee worked on for 10 years. But when he started, he didn't have a full vision for this new medium he was going to invent. He started working on one project as a side project to help him organize his own data. He scrapped that after a couple of years, and he started working on another thing. And only after about 10 years did the full vision of the World Wide Web come into being. That is, more often than not, how ideas happen. They need time to incubate, and they spend a lot of time in this partial hunch form. The other thing that's important when you think about ideas this way is that when ideas take form in this hunch state, they need to collide with other hunches. Oftentimes, the thing that turns a hunch into a real breakthrough is another hunch that's lurking in somebody else's mind. And you have to figure out a way to create systems that allow those hunches to come together and turn into something bigger than the sum of their parts. That's why, for instance, the coffee house in the Age of the Enlightenment, or the Parisian salons of modernism, were such engines of creativity, because they created a space where ideas could mingle and swap and create new forms. When you look at the problem of innovation from this perspective, it sheds a lot of important light on the debate we've been having recently about what the internet is doing to our brains. Are we getting overwhelmed with an always connected, multitasking lifestyle? And is that going to lead to less sophisticated thoughts as we move away from the slower, deeper, contemplative state of reading, for instance? Obviously, I'm a big fan of reading, but I think it's important to remember that the great driver of scientific innovation and technological innovation has been the historic increase in connectivity and our ability to reach out and exchange ideas with other people, and to borrow other people's hunches and combine them with our hunches and turn them into something new. That really has, I think, been, more than anything else, the primary engine of creativity and innovation over the last 600 or 700 years. And so yes, it's true we're more distracted, but what has happened that is really miraculous and marvelous over the last 15 years is that we have so many new ways to connect, so many new ways to reach out and find other people who have that missing piece that will complete the idea we're working on, or to stumble serendipitously across some amazing new piece of information that we can use to build and improve our own ideas. That's the real lesson of where good ideas come from, that chance favors the connected mind.
Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little video presentation. I think that it does speak to a couple of themes that we want to go over during the session. That the themes are how we work together collaboratively to expand ideas, how progress seems slow. And I know that I've been working on consolidating, integrating receivables processing, and really modernizing Lockbox solutions for the past 7 years here at US Dataworks, and we've done it for a number of entities, and it continues to evolve. And so sometimes I feel like the turtle is stuck still in the slow lane, but miraculously things come together and we make things happen. I also like the idea of connectedness. So if you look at any of the themes in 2014, I think the theme of making solutions and people and businesses work together in a more integrated fashion is certainly a key value there. So not sure about in your organization, but some of the themes that we've seen is that traditional Lockbox, although still viable, is having a decline in the overall value when you look at it as a standalone solution. We're seeing that integrating your receivables and doing that in a way that takes care of your traditional Lockbox, but also allows you to build forward on the future as things move to more electronic, gives you a unique product opportunity. And by putting all of this technology out there in the cloud, makes it very simple to do that implementation. It lowers your overall cost of ownership and provides value-added services for you and your clients, including business continuity, disaster recovery, everything. And one thing I've seen over the past 5 years at least is that in the Lockbox business, exceptions are the standard, right? They're the norm. So whatever solution you move to in terms of a modernization of your Treasury services, it needs to treat exceptions as the norm, treat them gracefully, and make it a seamless solution for your customers. I don't know if any of you out there in the audience are payment geeks like me, waiting for the latest Fed study to come out on payments. But I did see it come out in January, at least the initial high-level release, and took a look at what's changed. And it really spoke to trends that we saw evident, 9 years ago, and have only exacerbated over the last 3 years. What is really interesting, though, is that although checks continue on their steady downward decline, the average dollars paid by check actually increased, which is it seems counterintuitive. But when you think about where those checks are being used, they're coming into your wholesale lockbox environments. There's still businesses that are paying each other using check. The other increase, of course, we see is in the ACH arena. And I know ACH is being used a lot in the receivables sector, in particular when you're looking at government agencies. The state and federal agencies are required to pay their bills by ACH credit. And you would think that electronic would make things simpler, but it's not always the case, especially if your ACH is very disconnected from your traditional paper lockbox processing. So we see these as trends. It says that it's something that is important because the dollar value is so high. This is something that still continues to be of value to your clients, although how you add value may shift as you modernize there. I had the pleasure of speaking with Amy Hoke of Mercator Advisory Group last week, and she was sharing some ideas about how technology is changing and trumping some of the more early lockbox methods. I know lockbox has been around for more than 30 years in its current state, but some of the emerging technologies that you as bankers, I'm sure, are aware of, they seem to have partial solutions to the overall problem of lockbox, which is getting checks or remotely received payments into your bank account in a seamless fashion, or getting your receivables paid in an alternative view. So some of the things that we talked about were remote deposit, and certainly for some smaller clients, remote deposit does work well. When you get for larger entities where you're needing to do some asset-based lending process, or you have multiple locations that you're trying to consolidate up into a single feed, traditional remote deposit still seems to fall short. So I don't need to hash through all these details about what's impacting. I'm sure you, the bankers that are on the phone, are very well aware of these displacement technologies. I think the key point that Amy was making was that you really have the opportunity to use your lockbox functionality to continue the flow to invoice electronification, and that being from this whole order to pay kind of process. So the technologies and the equipment that you have now that are geared around processing and payment once it's already come in could be used to process the purchase order and convert that automatically or electronically into an invoice that might go out, and then you get a better chance of getting an electronic payment back in. It's that kind of value-added technology that banks need to be thinking about as they're looking for the next solution in receivables automation. In addition, Amy also pointed out that she sees in her studies that 2014 will be the year of integration. So when I think back about the turtle, when we were working on our first consolidated lockbox solution on a large scale, which was for American Express back 7 years ago, it seems like it was so clear and so evident that was a great solution, and it seems like it's taken a long time for it to gain ground. But I think 2014 banks are ready, customers are demanding it, and we see that the standalone receivables and payment solutions will be slipping into a thing of the past. I think it will no longer be acceptable to have 2 or 3 different systems you need to log into as a company or as a corporate to get your remittance information from your bank. Clearly, buyers and suppliers want solution integration. It's not easy. We see a lot of barriers to that. There's some companies that are trying to address it from a network perspective. I think about Ariba and how they have supplier network. They all tend to be buyer focused, so the buyer controls how they're going to pay their supplier. So somehow we have to bridge that gap collectively. We need to work together and as industry team leaders to help bridge that gap, whether it's having connection between the various emerging portals for this kind of solution, much like we did with data exchange and the old information reporting solution years ago. But something has to give. It needs to happen. It needs to be integrated. It needs to be simple and secure. And above all, we have to do make it collaborative. If anyone has any questions while we're presenting, feel free to type a question. I'll be monitoring my question panel and try and answer it. We'll certainly have time to answer those questions at the end. So as we move from innovation, we look a little bit at technology and where we see the technology going that's enabling some of these powerful business opportunities there. Our vision for next generation is the ability to accept all kinds of payments, all forms of payments, and be able to make payment requests outwards, regardless of whether it comes in through the mail, through financial institution provided bill payment, through a bill or direct scenario, walk-in, it doesn't matter. All of them come in through the same integrated receivables portal. And we see that the best provider of that portal is your bank. They're a trusted provider of Treasury services. Ultimately, money moves from bank to bank, so they have to play in the loop, and they have a strong need to understand and service their corporate customers' total financial needs, including lending and Treasury services. And this kind of consolidated receivables environment lets the bank deliver that richness of solution. All of the receivable information needs to be reported out in a consolidated reporting portal. And I know from our solution we have a set of financial dashboards, but it may be something that you integrate into your existing bank portal or a Treasury management solution so that you have access to this rich real-time information in a single data stream and be able to view it as well as interact with it on a fully electronic basis. As you move to NextGen Receivables, we've observed this in our clients, and I know Donna will talk a little bit about her experience in implementing this solution. But we have seen that you can really simplify some complex processes. Since our technology is developed in a more modern time instead of back 20, 30 years ago, as many of the solutions are out there that deal with paper processes, it really gives you the ability to simplify some of that complexity, add new workflows, crucial because you don't know what kind of workflow may come up next. And workflow can mean how I deal with a set of business rules like taking a purchase order, converting it to an invoice, or having a different set of business rules for fraud validation or matching to invoices. You have extensible new workflows that really make your solution work for you and give you the ability to deliver actionable information. We won't go through the whole list of simplifying, but the repeatable items we see as we go in and implement the solution is that you really need to be able to onboard through a web interface. The whole onboarding process with banks where you have an extended agreement process, a lot of paper changing hands, 30 days of testing to get files going back and forth. That has to be simplified. If you think about the next generation of business managers that are coming out, they're going to expect things to be online just like they have when they're applying for a mortgage or a credit card or anything. It needs to be simple. It needs to be online through your web interfaces. In addition, forms change. As I said earlier, everything today is exception, right? Because all the clean stuff is gone electronic. So you really need to have the ability to set up remittance forms on the fly through a GUI interface. So you don't need an extended testing time in order to get a high degree of data read accuracy off your existing forms. and kind of along that same line is correspondence. So everything being exceptions, some of the exceptions are correspondence letters, things that accompany payments, and that may be one reason why the payor continues to pay in a paper mode. So being able to capture correspondence with remittance information and be able to search for it by there is a huge value add. And then user-defined everything. So we don't believe that businesses need to change their process in order to use a bank or a business process outsourced provider service. Our solution allows for user-defined reports, extracts, dashboard searches, the whole gamut, and we see that being a trend because as a bank, you need to provide good service that suits your customers' needs, and each one of their needs is a little bit different. That's what makes them unique there. Another point is the file transfer. So we saw a barrier earlier on that sending financial files back and forth between banks, which is a big problem, as well as between banks and their clients, was a tough process. And it's tough not because you need a lot of security, which you do, you absolutely need a lot of security, but because oftentimes you have to set up a special file transfer client. Somebody has to open a technology ticket to punch a hole in the firewall. And so we discovered, in fact, we tested the case with American Express, that we could integrate file transfer using HTTPS. So our solution embeds that such that there's no need to open firewalls. Our solution connects the client and the bank together using a file transfer solution that does not require any firewall disruption. It monitors it, secures it, and makes certain that the sender and the receiver are properly authenticated. So it really simplified that process, and a process that went from a 30-day kind of setup, went to a one-day setup and testing. It was pretty huge. And then there's the ability to integrate. So as you move to a more integrated process, you have the opportunity to automate all invoicing and payments and not have separate streams. Today we see still businesses having to go through a separate stream for, here's my print invoice, I'm going to send that to this vendor, and here's my electronic invoicing information, I send that to another provider. So really bringing together all the invoice and the respective payment information together. Not only is it a more simple solution, but it also gives you really valuable information about what your trends look like, any potential problems that you see cropping up in your process, and even include things like international transactions in your whole integration process. And last, you want to make sure you have a modern, open platform. And open is the key. When we reflect back on Amy's from Mercator's assessment that 2014 is the year of integration, it's really difficult to integrate when you have a closed system. If you look at some of the key software solutions that are getting high valuations in the market, they all have one characteristic, and that is the open platform that allows you to programmatically connect two solutions together. So having an open platform that can be extended through market-specific apps or through connectivity to other solutions is going to not only make your solution more valuable, but also makes it easier to stay on a current version. Way back when US Dataworks first started in the enterprise class software building, we had a platform that you customized, you installed on site, and it was moving from version to version was very difficult. And I'm sure all of you in the banking world have experienced that with your core systems or other treasury management solutions. What we found is by implementing this open platform concept, where you have a very stable base platform, but extend that platform through market-specific apps, you can get version currency very easily, stay on a current version without disrupting your core functionality there. So I think when you're looking at what technology, what platform you need to build on. Looking for an open architecture is going to give you a stronger value add. Great. Well, I know I've been talking a lot, Donna, so I hope your voice is rested, and I would invite you to maybe share a little bit about yourself and Pinnacle Bank, and kind of some of the steps that you went through when you were selecting a new Lockbox solution.
Sure. Thank you so much. Pinnacle Bank is located in the Northeast Georgia area. On the graphic you see are the disbursement of our branches. We have a legacy market that's more of the Northeast sector, and then we have migrated down south towards Central Georgia and enjoying the ability to grow in those markets. So we're up to 13 branches now, founded in 1934, so we have a long legacy of the bank. About 8 years or so ago, I came into position here at Pinnacle as the operations manager, and at that point we were in a position to expand our electronic banking, our online banking presence. At that point we had a customer, which is always someone to propel you forward, who was unhappy with their current bank and came to us wanting an RFP on providing certain products, and so it gave us an opportunity to work with our former Lockbox provider to actually, all of that occurred at the same time when we were going through Check 21 and the automation of cash letters, so it was a real exciting time. And so we expanded not only our commercial treasury management services to include an ACH origination and wire transfer, but we also implemented Lockbox for this particular customer. It actually is still our largest Lockbox customer with utilities. But however, as you stated, the integration is so very important. So after being on our previous core for about 13 years, we recently in the last 24 months, went through a process to determine the future of the bank as far as our core systems, and determined that we were not in the best position that we wanted to be in, to be nimble, to be able to grow with the increased electronic banking products, and just to get the most utilization out of our services, which occurs with more integration. And so at that point, the Lockbox service we were using was part of our POD system. We also decided to go to a data center and cease to process in-house. And so that kind of changed up exactly how we would approach our Lockboxes. We wanted to have a seamless migration of our customers, since this is very important for their cash flow and for their customer service. So we wanted to look for a partner who could handle such a, we had 7 accounts for 5 different customers for a Lockbox that was already established, and so we started looking for providers in order to meet that implementation plan that we had decided to do with our core conversion. And so when you throw all that together, it was a really complex process to upgrade the core at the same time and throw in also our Lockbox, changing that service out. And so US Dataworks had the solution that we needed, along with the simplicity to spin up this product for our customers. We're lucky because we had established Lockbox process with these customers, and was able to share that with the engineers, the technology professionals there at US Dataworks, and take all of those specifications and turn them around. And really, they just owned the project, because there was lots of other core related changing projects along the way, and so I really needed someone that could take that with a contact here at the bank that was a daily processing clerical position, and really work with the technology professional there at US Dataworks and the Clearingworks side to be able to test and be ready to process. So we went live with processing our customers the same day that we went live with our new core system. So it was an exciting week, and our customers, there was no interruption for their service. There was we had a plan A so that we could get our largest customers up and running on the first day, and then had a plan B for our smaller lot boxes, and so all of that worked very well. We continue to process for them. We have seen over the years some drop off in the paper checks, but what we have found is, there's never a replacement of services, it seems. There's just an addition of one more layer. And so we really have our customers now who we're providing Lockbox service for them. We're providing ACH origination for their, payment files if they are debiting their customers. We're providing a remote deposit capture system for those payables that come in over their counter. And so all of that is able to come together in one financial relationship here with the bank. And that is, that is one of our goals, is to be that financial partner with our customers. So all of that comes together in a nice suite of treasury management products for our commercial services. We have a couple of commercial salespeople out in the field. What we found early on was, instead of having our lenders, who are great lenders, great customer service, relationship-minded staff members, they have so many things that they are juggling as far from the lending side, that always being able to absorb and articulate with a business customer when it came to the electronic services the bank offered, there seemed to be somewhat of a void, or just a little disparity there in going deep enough to find out if that customer could really use the service. So we found that having two professionals in the place where they can actually partner up with that relationship manager, go out into the field with them and discuss their needs, see how their cash flow occurs from their billables and the receivables and just the things that go on that it's unique for that business, and then come back and make a suggestion, and then we can be able to customize. You called an exception for everyone. We customize every Lockbox pretty much to meet the needs of that customer, and so that we feel adds value. It's not cookie cutter, but the Clearingworks system is simple enough to be able to be nimble so that we can turn around that customer new account setup in a quick fashion. So we feel like that's a good partner for the bank.
Great, awesome, Donna. I do have a question that came in from our audience. They were curious about what your mix of customers are, wholesale versus retail.
We have probably half and half, I guess I would say. We have some medical offices that we call wholesale. They have theirs is more of a deposit for us. In our old language, we call that stubless, so there's not actually a remittance in some situations that goes with the check, but they do have EOBs for their insurance companies or other paperwork that has not gone completely electronic, and so they're still getting those that paper trail. And so we provide scanning for that. That's one thing that the bank, we have an extensive imaging system and archive system, and we have the technical expertise here to be able to come up with solutions for our customers where their office may not have those resources readily available. So we're able to offer them, and I said that's really part of the bridge that we have been able to provide to our customers, is an imaging platform, whereas they did not have that perhaps, and an archive solution. So we have about half and half. Our utility companies are just the consumer remittance type, but the medical are more of the wholesale.
Right. And Don, I think that was a pretty gutsy move, replacing your core system and your Lockbox solution same day.
Yeah, it was a pretty big undertaking. However, our Lockbox system was part of our POD, and so in making all those changes, we would have had to have gone really, kind of like around your elbow to get to the next level if we had phased it out so much. We would have had to have set up something in order to bridge that. And so we took that stress on internally rather than making it a stressful situation for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what was our implementation timeline? I know from our team, I think it was a pretty quick.
It was very quick. I would say probably when I signed and there was a 30-day limit, I was going, ooh, that's going to be tough because, 30 days is really 45. It's not really 30 days. So by the time you get the calls and all the things that have to happen, but your team, I promised to them that I would make it as easy as possible for them, and so we went through our customer files and just set up an extensive PDF that we shared securely with your team so that they could actually see the features of each of our customers and just supplied them, with a portfolio of information that they could just jump on and, turn it out. And they did a fantastic job. I'll say the toughest part, we're working with companies who then have their own software companies. And so then now I am a data center bank, and so now I have another data center that's all. So it gets take a simple thing, and it really can get complex really quick. But, it just takes effort to keep all the parties informed and working toward the same goal, and just, keeping that importance of that customer relationship at the top of mind is what drives us.
Yeah. And Donna, I really wish you the best of luck in expanding your Lockbox services. I know that you've have now the tools in your hands to do that as the bank continues to evolve. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting now. We were in a more of a defensive offering for our customers. Just as our first relationship came to us, it was more like a defensive move. But now with the way that our relationship is set up with U.S. Dataworks and Clearingworks, that we should be able to offer that as an offensive product, something that we can actually go after and not have some of the normal constraints that we've had before. And then also the option for my customers to actually go to the processing center if we ever get to that type of need of service. So those were two of the things that really appealed to me from U.S. Dataworks, is the options that were available.
Awesome. Well, Donna, thank you for all of your commentary. Again, we'll take questions. Please feel free to send questions in. For Donna, I have a few more thoughts to kind of round out our discussion today. When I think back at what our little video, our intro video about where good ideas come from, and also the strategy that we saw from some analysts about collaboration and partnering, it really is, we found it to be a very effective way to advance your ideas. We see that banks, businesses, and technology providers need to work together because we've got a really difficult challenge. We've automated and electronified the easy pieces, right? And what's remaining is the last, the harder challenges, the B2B payments with a lot of variation, a lot of detail, and a lot of different systems. We've got consumers that are still very much married to their paper, and so by working together, we can continue to advance this providing of solutions, continuing to move towards electronic, and making it a good value proposition for everyone involved. So it's not all just about electronification. It's about being a good value there. We found in our partner approach, and especially through our cloud delivery, we're able to match value to expense. So the days when you had to have a huge technology investment in hardware and license fees, I think those days are gone. And certainly when we think about how you re-engineer your Treasury solutions, really having this partner that allows you to create a more of a known cost for your technology, as opposed to having to hope that you sell enough to cover your capital investment. And then also partnering allows for faster market adoption, scalability, and I truly believe that banks can be the catalyst in getting greater B2B adoption for invoicing and payments in electronic methods. So I really see that that's a key value. For those of you on the call that are not familiar with US Dataworks and some of the things that we've done, and I don't think I gave a very broad company introduction, didn't want to bore you from the beginning with about us, but we've really done some remarkable things through our consolidated receivables and our sound payment platform. In fact, we've been so successful, we process about $7 billion through our platform every day. It's a combination of in our own cloud as well as our solution that's running in some of our clients' private clouds. As providing services to the U.S. Treasury through the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, we serve about 8,500 federal agency accounts. So there's about 1,000 federal agencies, and they all have sub-accounts. Our solutions used to consolidate all the incoming payments for the U.S. Treasury, including the IRS and student loans. Sorry to say, we help process those payments as well. We power a pretty extensive image clearing network for banks that provide correspondent banking services, including bankers' banks. And to that end, we have about 1,500 banks that we're sending ACH files or image exchange files to in our clearing network there. And of course, store a lot of data in terms of payments and images there. Have some great representative clients. We have built a strong vendor-partner relationship, and our clients have been with us for years, and we keep adding new ones. So we're really, really pleased to have that richness of clients. And having those kind of client partners helps us also continue to expand our solution and continue to innovate there. So I'll take a few minutes and open it up for questions. And I'll also, since you were so good and stayed to the end, I'll reveal the poll here, the results of the poll, while you're thinking about your really great questions. So when I look at the results of the poll, that we asked a question about, is modernizing your lockbox a key strategy for you? And we had 20% ranked at high priority, 20% at medium priority, and 30% looking for the right solution. So that's better than 70% are looking for it's either a high priority, medium priority, or they're feeling the need, but they have to look for the right solution. Another 20% had just completed an upgrade. So I hope that 20% that you've upgraded to Clearingworks, because that would make me feel very happy to know that. And 10% were others. So we had 67% of the audience voted. I know there were some folks that joined after the poll was down, so I will see if I have a way to send a second poll question out there for that. Okay, I have a question coming in. This is, how secure is cloud delivery? I'll go ahead and take that question. We do get, when we say cloud delivery, we really mean running in a virtualized environment, so you're not bound by a specific hardware. We're fortunate in that, or not fortunate, we made a decision to go with Rackspace, who is by far the leader in managed hosting services. They run, it is our private cloud installation, so we're not running payment processing in the public cloud environment. And we have all the security that you would have in your own data center, in many cases even greater. Rackspace is a great provider of managed services. And I know we have our monthly PCI penetration scans there. Every time that happens, our scanning company has to call us, because Rackspace, our environment at Rackspace is so closed down that they can't even get through to scan for penetration. So, so we have to do something to let them get through to even scan for penetration. So we do find that highly secured. I'm not the best security expert, but if you have further questions, if I didn't answer your question, I'd be happy to put you in touch with the security folks here at US Dataworks. Okay. I have a question. I think, Donna, I think this is a question for you. The question is, do you use Clearingworks for remote deposit capture?
No, we do not currently. We are just using it for our Lockbox processing.
Okay. Well, hope that answered your question there. I know we don't do, our pure remote deposit capture play really is more in tune of field deposits that come in and get combined into a Lockbox play. So I can see if you're just doing basic remote deposit capture, that would make some sense there. Okay, and one last question. How do you connect scanners to the cloud? Well, we will be having another webinar that will talk more about our platform and how it runs in the cloud and the technology behind that. That'll be coming in February and hosted by Dave, our CTO. The scanners, I know that most folks who are used to Lockbox are used to seeing scanners connecting to PCs and the software is driving it there on site. Our solution delivers by using the file transfer interface, as well as running a client that gets downloaded as part of the web startup. And I apologize, I'm not the huge technical person to do that, but we do work with every scanner, just about every scanner, everything from a small $200 Panini to the OPEX 150 and everything in between. We're partners with Burroughs and NCR and RDM, Panasonic. I can't think of all of them. We work with a number of scanners still running in the cloud, but still able to connect to that scanner to drive it or to take files from it, whatever happens. Okay. Well, I thank everyone for being such a great audience. From my perspective, I love speaking, getting feedback, so it's hard doing a webinar and not seeing the looks on your faces. But I hope that you found this to be an interesting and informative webinar. We invite you to attend our other series. I know our next webinar will be in February. We'll be talking about the technology behind the platform, so you can really get a view of what's coming from more technical, less business perspective. And Donna, I want to thank you for being a great participant and your willingness to participate in the webinar when you're suffering from a bit of a cold.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And Dataworks family of clients.
Thank you.
To the webinar attendees, we will be following up. We'll make the slides that were presented available to you as part of our follow-up, and please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Thank you so much.